Hey everybody, welcome back to the chess channel for beginners. This is Chess Addict, and I have a game where I actually played a different opening as white. I played the Dutch classical variation, and let's look at it. So I start off d4, the queen's pawn opening. He plays e6, Horowitz, or the French defense. And then I make the move c4, and then I play b4, which is unorthodox, but because you can get a powerful check. But let's just say he didn't do it, and I wouldn't mind losing that pawn for a reason. Okay. So then he plays the move c6, and now I play b2, and he plays d5. I take, he takes. And then rook c1, and now he pins the knight, and I close off the half pyramid formation by playing move e3, bishop d7, knight f3, knight c6, bishop d3, saying castle, and I did, b d6, knight b5, bishop, he moved the bishop to e7. I play the move knight e5. He plays the move a6 during the knight. I take, so what I did was I took his knight, threatened to take his queen and this bishop. He takes, and then I move the knight back to c3, and he brings the queen to c7. I play knight e2. He plays the bishop to d6. Then I play the threatening to come down and force a move here and check, and I have to move, and then he comes and sets up a discovered attack. So wasn't going for that. So I place the knight here. So if he takes the knight, I take back with the pawn, exposing the rook to the f-file, and everything is okay. g6, he opens up, and then I move the rook to e1. So let's look at this position for a second. My bishop is hanging. He really is. I know he's hanging. Okay. And to be honest with you, he stayed hanging the entire game. And you'll see that here in a minute. But if you look back to for my beginners, I'm castle, he's castle. His minor pieces are in the game. My minor pieces are in the game. My queen, he's moved his queen a little more than I have, but he's moving her with a purpose. He's just not all over the board with her. And the rooks can work with each other with support of the queen and the bishops. So I'm satisfied with the position that I have here. And sometimes when especially in the middle game, before you make a move, this helps me. Before you make a move, look at each piece. Check your children. Remember that concept. Check your children. Before you move one piece, check your children, then check your environment. What I mean by that is, when you check your children, you're checking to see who's in danger. Which pawn can be captured for free. These pawns really mean something. And all of these are your children. Your rooks, your bishop, all your pawns. Check your children. Then check your environment, meaning, look at your king is also your child, so check him too. And when you're doing that, you want to go, there are 64 squares on this board, and you just need to look at you need to go up and down the line, not in every diagonal when bishop's on the board, and look and see what piece is being threatened. Then check your environment. Where can you go with that piece? What can you do to counter? What is he trying to do to you, or what is she trying to do to you? And if you follow that process before you make a move, now, when you play blitz, you really as a beginner, you have no business playing blitz games. Like, You have no instincts to play blitz, so you shouldn't play blitz. There's no opening that you just have down pat. And where when I say an opening that you have down pat, meaning you know every line, you can handle any way it's attacked and still stand a fair chance. No, you probably know the first 12 moves, but then when someone puts you in a trap or a situation and you're in that opening, you are totally lost and you're going to lose all your main pieces and you just end up resigning. You should play classical or rapid until you, and that way you can move slow, you can check your children, you can check your environment. Blitz is all about instinct. You don't have time to check all that. You just got to go. You just have to know where you're putting your pieces, and you have to be able to see 4 or 5 moves ahead. And beginners, you just don't have that yet. You're chest blind. You don't see the board, and it takes a little while before you can actually see the board. Once you grandmasters can see the board and then see 8 moves down the board, and the 8, some of them can calculate 16, 20 different variations of what could possibly happen and make those calculations and be pretty much, 16 to 20, that's a bit much. I think Magnus Carlsen can. I think he can do, because he can play multiple chess games, not even look. He can see that many. He can see so good in his head. But anyway, let's get back to the game. So this is a pretty. So right now, just to let you know what's in my mind, I'm looking at the bishop that is on c6, and I did contemplate sacrificing a rook just so to take a bishop. I did, because I like having the bishop pair and a knight. And I believe, and I have an extra pawn, I think. Okay, so maybe I don't. Maybe we're pretty much in an equal position. We have a queen, 2 rooks, and a knight each. So, moving on. Okay, so now I play rook a1 to protect, because the queen wants to come down and take the pawn that's located on a2. So I didn't want to do that. I want to protect it. So now he brings rook f to c8, and then he starts to push that 1 pawn, and I am pushing the h pawn, as I always do. And now I'm going to sacrifice the knight, and now I want to get in the backfield, and now I start to do a little pawn push. And so right here I block off his bishop, threatening to take. Now I'm not going to take that bishop, but what I am going to do, so if he checked his children, he has to look at, man, my bishop is getting attacked. My knight is also getting attacked. But what if he'd been watching my videos, he would know what? He would know that I haven't been moving that black bishop, and he should really start pressing that bishop, because that bishop is a part of my mating sequence, and I haven't moved it. So he takes, then I take. Now I come up with the queen, since he is just intent on pushing that 1 pawn. So then he thinks he's closing the door. Nope, check. Pin his rook. This is where tactics start to come into play. Pin his rook to his king. Take with the bishop. He takes. Now take his bishop. He brings the queen up to protect. Check. Take, check. Take, check. Check. Checkmate. Okay. And the reason I did that extra taking on those 2 pawns, those 2 pawns are on my king side. The other reason is, if this should somehow I blunder, when you're playing online, you can, even across the board, you can blunder a piece just by touching, and then you didn't want to move it, but now you have to move that piece if you play touch and move, which you should play, because those are tournament rules. You can misclick the mouse. Anything can happen, and I don't want to resign, because I like my position. I don't want to resign where I am. If I was to just accidentally do something dumb, I've done it. I did it last game. It made me so mad. But I got into an end game and I won. So anything can happen. I could do, I don't know, from here. I could have did something like this, and then he moved. Then came over here to say check and just went, you know, came over here to say check and then messed around and went too far, and now I don't have a queen. Man, how bad would that be? That would just be terrible. Absolutely terrible. Because that knight coming down check is devastating. That is basically mate. So anything can happen. So I went ahead and cleared the way, but it didn't happen that way. Put him in check. He has to go back over here. Checkmate. Why? Because this rook is controlling. So tips to take away from this game. Continue to watch the videos on the opening principles. Look how they are applied. My rooks are connected. The rook is centralized. At least one of your rook has to be centralized. Both of my rooks were centralized in the center of the board, but I had a loose pawn over here because of the type opening I used. This pawn was left hanging and the queen was hovering over its head, so I had to send the rook over there to protect it. But because my rook is in the middle, this is what I mean. When I never played this opening, but I played it. This opening played out kind of pretty well, because what you're gonna notice is that a lot of these openings interlock. You may know one part of one opening, like you may not know the Carol-Khan, but you understand the Sicilian. Well, think of it like this: the Carol-Khan opens up at c5, I do believe, or c6, and then yours, and then the Sicilian just goes up one more square. So there's gonna be parts of the Carol-Khan where you can actually transition into moves that are similar to that, and lines that are similar to that. You would end up in those positions in the Sicilian as well. So if you play the Sicilian really good, the opening you can add to your repertoire might be the Carol-Khan. I played the Ruy Lopez for many years. So when I learned how to do the Guaco piano game, it was very similar. You just didn't pin the knight. You stopped before you got that far out. You actually only brought it out to d5, and you brought the light square bishop out to d5 instead of trying to pin the knight. So a lot of these opens start to intertwine, and then they play like the same, and the concepts become the same. Okay, but this is similar to Larson. If you play the Larson attack, then you can play this opening I just played. It was fun. I enjoyed the game. The guy was not bad at all. He wasn't all over the place. He was actually a very pleasant opponent. And but anyway, follow those opening principles. Check this game out. See what you can take away from it. And I'll put some tips in the description. As always, click like if you like the video. Hit subscribe and help me boost this channel. Okay. Peace until next video.